Hello, and welcome to When They Popped. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Mary.
Happy New Year, everybody. We are recording this on New Year's Day, our first episode of 2026. Can you even believe it?
No, I cannot.
Mary, how was your New Year's Eve? Was it as dramatic as the OC when Ryan is trying to run to the penthouse and Oliver Trask may or may not be preparing to kiss Marissa in his absence?
I would say no, but it was pretty dramatic because my husband's sick, so we decided to forego our plans and watch the Stranger Things finale right when it went live at 8 p.m. And I was like, I don't want it to be 1 minute later because I don't want to see any spoilers online. And so that was exciting and dramatic, like getting the TV turned on time. But otherwise, it was pretty low key. But those who know me know I'm not going to complain about that. How was yours?
It was good. My ideal New Year's Eve is like some snacks, light bites with friends. We had people over for like champagne and caviar, and then we had a late dinner res. That is like my ideal. We went to this amazing dim sum restaurant, and it was their first year open. So they gave everyone like a glass of champagne for midnight. It was very cute, but it was really funny because we were all just like having such a good time. We weren't even looking at the clock. And then all of a sudden they were like, 3, 2, 1. And we were like, wait a second. 3, 2, 1. Normally we start at like 10.
Yeah. So they need to improve their countdown announcement is what you're saying.
It was a learning. Yeah, but it was still great. It was very fun. It was cute. It was a small little restaurant, which was amazing. So it was just very cozy vibes. It is very cold in Boston. And we woke up to a fresh snow. It was snowing this morning. So it really feels metaphorically and not metaphorically like a blank slate. We're really starting the new year with a clean slate. So onward and upward. But obviously, you know, we can't let New Year's Eve go without celebrating New Year's Eves of the past. So we thought it would be really fun to go back to some of our favorite New Year's Eve specials growing up. So before we even get into that, every New Year's Eve, I'm reminded of like, you know, everyone gets very reflective. It's a time where we all play like Auld Lang Syne and we look at all of our accomplishments, yada, yada. But back in 1999, we literally thought the world was going to end when the clock struck midnight into the year 2000. So I wanted to revisit. I shared this on the Everything 90s podcast when she had me on, and we did like a 90s versus 2000s battle. And this was one of my moments from the 90s where I was like, this is why the 90s is more iconic. And we just have to revisit. I don't think we've talked about it. And it's one of my Roman empires. So let's talk about it. 26 years ago, we thought the world was going to end because of the Y2K bug, the millennium bug. And this just consumed the entire year of 1999. It was almost like no one was paying attention to the Millennium album by Backstreet Boys because everyone was worried what was going to happen when these complex computer programs that were first written in the 1960s had these 2-digit codes for the year. So like 90, 91, 92, et cetera. They left out the 19. So as the year 2000 approached, many believed that the systems would not be able to interpret the 00 correctly, causing a major glitch in the system. So as of December 31st, 1999, turned into January 1st, there were very real fears that computers might interpret December 31st, 1999, turning into January 1st, 1900.
So like we'd go back in time or something? Or like what
exactly. Which is like so confusing, right? Like what does it matter if a computer thinks it's 1900 or 2000? Well, let me tell you what some industry fears were. Banks were very concerned because they calculate interest rates on a daily basis, right? And interest rates, as we know, are the amount of money a lender like a bank charges a customer for a loan. So instead of the rate of interest for one day, the computer would calculate a rate of interest for almost 100 years. So like instead of going to 2000, it would go back to 1900. So that was a fear. Another one was power plants. They depend on routine computer maintenance for safety checks like water pressure, radiation levels. And not having the correct date would throw off these calculations and possibly put nearby residents at risk of these power plants, something malfunctioning. That feels very real and scary. Airlines were also really concerned because obviously they use computers for their records of all scheduled flights. there were no airline flights in the year 1900, and some people were literally scared that planes were going to fall out of the sky.
Oh, God.
When I thought of the year Y2K, I just thought that we were all going to like lose power.
That's more of my fear, too. Like, I didn't understand this whole computer programming data going back years type thing.
I just thought we'd like lose power. And maybe we'd like need to use like candles and flashlights for a couple of days. Like, I don't even think my family did any prep whatsoever. Like, we were just going to go head first into the apocalypse, like raw dogging the apocalypse. So the US, it's worth noting, spent millions of dollars preparing to expand the dates on these computers to the 4 digits so that we could include the 1991, 1992, and into the year 2000. Australia notably invested millions of dollars preparing for the Y2K bug. Russia invested none. And Australia was so concerned about this that they recalled almost its entire embassy staff from Russia prior to January 1st, 2000, because they were worried what might happen if communications or transportation networks broke down. So there was a lot of concern and just like unknowing what would happen when January 1st, 2000 rolled around. But we all know what happened. We posted about it on our Instagram. We posted the TRL New Year's Eve special going from 1999 to the year 2000. Nothing happened. But I do feel like everyone kind of like took a breath and they're like waiting to see like, would Times Square go black? Like, no one really knew. But man, the commotion, the months leading up to it, I remember being at an arcade the summer of 1999, and inside the claw machine where they have those like cheap stuffies, they had a Y2K bug plushie. Like, it turned into its own merch. Like, and I remember asking my parents, like, what is the Y2K bug? Like, and they obviously didn't want to freak me out. So I don't remember what they said, but I remember not being worried about it.
I don't have strong memories or anything like vivid or specific that I can relate to this, but I do remember having a general feeling of fear and anxiety leading up to it. And I truly wonder if this is when I first became an anxious girly.
Honestly, maybe. The amount of times our generation has been worried that the world is going to end is like a little too many.
But it's crazy. 9/11 was a year after that.
It's so sad, like watching the videos and all the comments on our posts too. They're like, this was the last normal, like New Year's Eve that people felt for a while.
And we were scared still. We were so scared too. So I don't know. Just interesting to reflect on that. Time is weird. Like it just feels so
Time is weird. But I mean, this MTV New Year's Eve special was so incredible. I watched the entire thing yesterday. And no doubt plays It's the End of the World as We Know It. Like they did a cover of it, which now it's funny, like tongue in cheek, but you can even hear Carson Daly say, if you can hear us now, the Y2K bug is certainly not around. Like imagine being on live TV. If something were to break down, I can only imagine. I would love to talk to Carson Daly. Like what kind of prep went into that special where they were like, okay, if it goes black, like if we lose connection, like here's what you have to do. Like those TV hosts got to be ready for anything, but that must have been pretty intense.
And he was standing there with Christina, right? Yeah.
Christina Aguilera was his co-host. You hear her like shrieking.
I just wonder what was going through all of their minds at that time. You're in public, you're a public figure. You can't, hunker in like some of us did and act nervous. You have to kind of just roll with it. Interesting, that's all.
It was so interesting. But this was a great broadcast. And I was too young, I think, to watch it live at the time. So this was really my first time seeing it. I remember, obviously, the celebration of Times Square. We were like a Dick Clark household because it was a little more like multi-generational friendly, which we'll talk about in a bit. But the MTV specials were so fun as we got older. As you mentioned, Mary, Christina Aguilera co-hosted the 1999 to 2000 special with Carson Daly. And they had some really fun performers. Blink-182 performed. They sang All the Small Things and What's My Age Again. Goo Goo Dolls, I saw in some research, and Mark Ronson were there too. I just thought that the MTV special was like exactly what we needed because it really catered, obviously, to the younger generation. But like when you're having those basement parties in high school for New Year's Eve, like this is what you're going to have on your TV. And I don't remember this one either, but I have seen some clips of 1998 to 1999 New Year's Eve special on MTV when Jennifer Love Hewitt co-hosted with Carson. So it seems like he had like a fun celebrity co-host every year. She just had this head full of curls and was so cute. And for that one, they had Green Day, Method Man, Limp Bizkit. They had Kid Rock there. And Aaliyah was one of the like special guests. So they would have people appear on the show, even if they weren't performing. Aaliyah like interviews 98 Degrees about like their year, what they're looking forward to going into 1999. Like it's so iconic, and I wish I had a better word for it, but it was just so cool to see our favorite celebrities like interacting in that way because we did not have access to them outside of these public appearances, and seeing them all celebrate along with us at the same time just felt very cool.
Really cool. The one thing I'll say is it's getting hard because I feel like all the footage from especially these years are real. It's just really grainy. And I just wish we could pump up the quality on some of them because what treasure troves.
I know. I'm sure someone will come out with something soon that we can just like upload the footage and it'll come out like crystal clear. But until then, I will be squinting and watching all of these performances. And we're definitely going to post some on our IG. But we also have to talk about Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve. I mean, this was like the New Year's Eve special to watch. And I got curious, how did it become so popular? What are its origins? It's broadcast by ABC. And as we know, this is primarily broadcast from Times Square. That is the place, the ball drop, millions of people. There's rumors that people wear diapers because they're in there for so long and they can't go to the bathroom. I don't know if that's real. Did you ever do a New Year's Eve in Times Square?
No. Did you?
So kind of by accident, I was in New York City. What year was it? We were still in college. We were juniors.
Oh.
It was 11 going into 12, I think. We went ice skating in Bryant Park. I broke my arm. It was awful. So I'm like walking around Times Square with like a broken arm. But because I had like my arm in a sling, we didn't have tickets. I guess it's like ticketed now and the security is like really insane. Yeah. But there's all these bars around Times Square that you can only get into if you're ticketed for the event. And none of my friends were. The only way to get through is if you're staying at a hotel in the area, you like show your card or whatever, or you're ticketed. I didn't have any of those things. I'm like fresh out of the hospital with my arm in a sling. And this police officer just like took pity on us, I guess. So we were in a bar and that was empty in Times Square, like watching the ball drop. It was just one of those moments that like, I don't think it'll ever happen again, but it was memorable, to say the least. That's as close as I got, but I don't think I will ever brave the cold. In all those broadcasts, they're like, it's 10 degrees. That's not for me. The only person I'm waiting outside in harsh conditions for is Backstreet Boys, not the ball. I don't care about that. So that was a little side quest. Let's get back to Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve. So this is a mix of pre-recorded live musical performances. And what was so special about this one was you were really getting the full gamut. People your parents listened to, people your grandparents listened to, up to the celebrities of today. That's something that I really miss about those kinds of specials. Even TRL, like I wouldn't really ever pick watching like a Method Man concert, but you know, we were exposed to different subgenres and subcultures through these amazing specials. So grateful for these. Since 2016, the special has included performances and coverage of New Year's Eve celebrations from around the country. There's sometimes one in Puerto Rico. There's been New Orleans, Las Vegas, which I always thought was really fun because of the time difference.
Yeah.
Like, how are they doing it? And like, what does it look like? And I always loved seeing like when China would celebrate like their New Year's Eve, like I love seeing other countries celebrate it early and like just the anticipation. So obviously the creator of Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve was Dick Clark. And he concepted this special to be the cool, chic, younger competitor to Guy Lombardo's long-running New Year's Eve special on CBS. So the first Dick Clark New Year's Rockin' Eve aired on December 31st, 1972. Dick Clark was anchoring coverage live from Times Square. It was originally broadcast by NBC, which I think is interesting, and it was co-hosted by Three Dog Night and George Carlin.
Yeah.
So then in 1974, the program moved to ABC, where it has since remained, and Dick Clark was, of course, our host. And it's just classic. I think seeing him as a younger person, obviously did he die?
I think so, because I think Ryan Seacrest does it now. He died in 2012.
Damn. So he did this show. He hosted this right up until his death, which is pretty amazing. I mean, what a great legacy. Everyone makes the reference like, oh, did you have a rockin' New Year's Eve? Like, it's just one of those things that stands the test of time. And now we know Ryan Seacrest is the host.
He must have really loved it or just had really strict contractual terms. You're doing this till you die.
It's his namesake. I would think he'd
Right.
want to like see it through.
Yes.
So, Mary, you had compiled some of our favorite Y2K New Year's Eve performances. So let's talk about them.
Sure. These are mostly in order. And full disclaimer, some of the dates were a little bit confusing. And like it would say 2001. And it was like, okay, is this currently the year 2001 or is it like next year's 2001? So it was a little confusing, but the years don't matter. It's the vibe. It's the aura. That's what we're going for when we're talking through some of these. So please don't yell at me if I don't have it 100% right. But one of the ones I wanted to talk about was O-Town. And they were on TRL's. TRL had a countdown. So not only did MTV have their own New Year's Eve special, but they would do a special New Year's Eve TRL countdown as well. And in 2002, they performed an iconic rendition of their We Fit Together. This is a favorite song of Kelsey and mine, and it was so fun to see this performance. I love watching old performances of our boy bands and spend a lot of time doing that. And this was one I had never seen before. So again, just fun.
I spend a lot of time doing that. LOL.
I literally just sent Kelsey like a very obscure video yesterday. It's not obscure, but like I spend time on YouTube watching boy band videos.
Wait, tell them what it was. We're in it.
Yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about the Sphere because, I mean, the guys are back, obviously, doing another run of shows. We're about a month out till I go. And so I've been thinking about, I was texting Kelsey about some of the graphics too a couple nights ago. And so I wanted to look up videos from the opening night because I was like, wow, the crowd sounds really loud. These most recent shows, the fans sound really loud. But I was like, I wonder if opening night was just like way louder, like if that was like the craziest night. And so I went back watching some opening night Sphere videos from July 11th. And I will say the crowd was really loud, probably louder. And the guys definitely seemed a little more tense and rigid than they do now. Just first show kind of nerves, maybe. They've definitely seemed to kind of relax and gotten more comfortable since the first show, in my opinion. But I found a video of them doing We Got It Going On. And I could actually see Kelsey and I, because we were in the front row on if you're facing the stage, the right side of the stage. And you could just see our two little brunette heads like bobbing up and down. I can picture Kelsey. Kelsey was like beaming. I could see her side profile, the biggest smile ever. Kelsey
I'm
said
like
what I said.
Waving to them.
Yes, I noticed. As you aptly responded, I think you're like, it was rare. We were there, quoting Taylor Swift. And what a moment. But wow, to make a long story long, I like to watch, nuanced videos on the internet, as we all probably do. But this We Fit Together performance was one I had never seen before. This was 2002, right in the peak of the Making the Band era. So they were really popping off. Jacob, I really liked seeing him play the guitar during this. It shows that they were boy bands that were doing their choreo, but they also had a member that was playing an instrument. It made them kind of multifaceted, I would say. They weren't just all dancing. They also had instrumentation. So like talented kings. And they were doing the We Fit Together choreo that they still do today when they perform it at Pop 2000. And I love seeing the OG choreo and them being like, wow, they still do that. Like they keep us fed. We're getting all the nostalgia. I love it so much. And then I just also wanted to note they had like the Britney Spears, like pop star headset mics on, which is just, chef's kiss. My God.
Bring those back. Like, yes. Why are more pop stars not wearing the headset mics?
Because they're not dancing.
Ugh. We need more real pop stars. Eric was so cute in this video. His little like buzz cut, adorable. Mm-hmm. And Dan's facial hair really got me. He has the chin strap.
Oh, yes, Dan with his chin strap. That was an era for sure.
Why did anyone think that was a good move? It just kills me. It kills me. But this was also a really fun broadcast. The one that I saw on YouTube, it sounded like they were doing like a countdown of the top videos that year or something.
Yeah.
But they had like little fun facts that they would put on the screen alongside their performance. And apparently they recorded this song, We Fit Together, in a tiny studio in Hong Kong, which I didn't know. So it was kind of fun rewatching this all those years later and just seeing how the graphics used to look back then. Yeah. Like it all looks like the larger than life music video. Like it's all that font.
Yes.
Like so trying to be futuristic. It's just hilarious to me.
I loved it. I also found more footage of them. They I believe the year prior. So we started with 2002, but in 2001, they actually performed Liquid Dreams on Dick Clark's, and they shared kind of the time slot with 98 Degrees, with O-Town performing live from Atlantis in the Bahamas. And then 98 Degrees was like maybe in New York City. They were in a theater somewhere. They were not also in Atlantis. And I just feel like if you were anybody back in the day, you were doing some kind of show at Atlantis. And we all certainly wanted to be there after seeing Holiday in the Sun. Like, I feel like Atlantis was the place. There's so much pop culture history at Atlantis. Who would have thunk? But so they kind of cut between O-Town and 98 Degrees. I just want to note that Eric has like a tennis visor on for this performance with his, like, he's in like all white and a white tennis visor, which really speaks to the Y2K aesthetic and fashion. And then also Nick Lachey, when they cut to 98 Degrees after, the frosted tips were like really frosting it, but I feel like they were like a cheese color.
It was a little brassy.
Yes, it was an interesting take on the frosted tips.
He needed another process, I feel like, some purple shampoo. But back to the tennis visor, remember when people used to wear them upside down?
Oh, yes, I do.
Like off to the side and like upside down, like Malibu's Most Wanted vibes.
Oh my God.
Why did we do that? Why did we do anything? It's so
great
crazy.
Question.
Jacob's hair in this one also, he has like the dreads going on. Again, the choreo, it's the original. They still are doing this choreo to this day on Pop 2000s. I have to say, 98 Degrees, when I watched their piece, they had some dancing. They had good dancers. They were singing Una Noche was the performance I saw. And those men cannot dance 98 Degrees. They really can't. So I think they were smart to bring in women who would make it feel more like lively and fun, like you're in like a salsa club or something. But I'm embarrassed to admit that my crush on Drew Lachey was reactivated watching this performance. He is so cute. They all look so different.
They do look different. Oh my God.
He has like really long hair and his face. It's just like very funny. But I loved it. This was a really good pick, Mary.
Another one that I had never seen either of those performances before. So, I mean, if you're looking for a dose of nostalgia you probably haven't seen, that's a good one.
Trevor looked really good in the Bahamas one.
He was bringing it in the Liquid Dreams Bahamas one for sure. Loved it. Another one from 2001. I wanted to flag a Jessica Simpson performance, but because I got confused on the year, we actually have two. Because I said 2001, and so Kelsey watched the actual 2001 performance when I was actually flagging the 2000 performance. So we're going to talk about both of them really quick. There's one on Dick Clark from 2000 where she performs I Think I'm in Love, and our girl, her mic was on. She's one of the ones where you're like, her mic will never not be on, you know? And I just have to flag her outfit. She's wearing these like purple, like leather looking material pants and one of those sparkly headbands that like had teeth. Do you know what I'm talking about? It like you put it in.
Give you like a zigzaggy part.
Kind of, yes. It had little like claws that when you would put it on and like
stay in there.
Yeah. I had so many of those. Never could really pull it off, but like she was executing it how it was meant to be executed, and it was quite awesome. Tell me about the one you watched.
Okay, so the one I watched, I think was 2001 going into 2002. So this would have been the same one that 98 Degrees performed. If I'm not mistaken, I think so. But oh my God, her hair is brown and she's wearing a black tuxedo with like these over-exaggerated lapels, and the lapels are baby pink. And then her pants, the tuxedo stripe is that same baby pink. And it's like a satin, like shiny material. This was like Jessica McClintock energy. This color scheme was unmatched in the early 2000s, the baby pink and black. Like, think about the dress that Katie Heron wears in Mean Girls when she hosts her little house party.
Yes.
Jessica Simpson's like tuxedo on this Dick Clark Rockin' New Year's Eve like was the blueprint for that. Also, LFO performed during the special that I'm talking about too, and they sang my favorite LFO song, Every Other Time. Rich looks adorable, and Brad is wearing his signature black bandana, and he's playing guitar. And then at the very end, they played Life is Beautiful. So we got 2 great LFO performances on that one. And I know I mentioned earlier that one of my favorite parts of these specials was how we got exposed to other type of music that maybe we wouldn't listen to regularly, especially Dick Clark's special, because it was trying to cater to every generation. So they had the OJs who played Love Train, which is one of my favorite songs ever. Amazing. And then Pink sang I'm Coming Out, which was like just the beginning of her career.
Wow.
She wasn't doing any flips. She was not in the air.
No aerial acrobatics quite yet.
That hadn't come quite yet, but it was just so like, wow.
And to be clear, we're not hating on Pink and her aerial acrobatics. We love them. We love them.
I mean,
but
the fact that she could do either of those things and then the fact that she does them together is insane.
Insane. A lifetime talent. But that was a great year. We still have more for 2001. I found some footage of BBMak. You know, we have to talk about BBMak. This is a BBMak Stan podcast. They performed Still on Your Side and More Than Words on MTV's Times Square New Year's Eve special, 2001. So I guess 2001 going into 2002. And oh my God, I squealed seeing Christian with, now that's how a frosted tip should look. Like, I feel like maybe that's what Nick Lachey should have been going for. His were a little yellow, but Christian's were like frosted to perfection, to put it simply. That was the blueprint right there.
Yeah, he certainly was. So the camera like starts with like an aerial view of the crowd and you see the 3 guys on stage, but you can't really see their faces. Also, the quality is horrible because it's 25 years old. He goes, it's Christian, because he loves to say the word guys. If you guys have ever seen them perform, he's like, hey guys. He says, how you guys doing? Happy New Year. And I swear to God, in my head, if I close my eyes and you were like, is this BBMak or Protozoa from Xenon? I wouldn't be able to tell you. Like, they sounded so much alike. This was when my crush on Christian was like peak, 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 peak. Like 9-year-old Kelsey thought she was going to marry him. Like, I had a poster of him like on my bedroom. Yeah. It was like from this era.
And I mean, the man has aged like a fine wine. You got to give him credit. So it was really cool to see this performance. You know, this is right after they had their breakout hit Back Here. It hit number 13 on the Billboard. They had just finished touring with Britney Spears, opening on her Oops, I Did It Again tour. And then in this next year, they'd end up going on a tour with NSYNC on the Pop Odyssey tour. And just seeing that, like seeing that they like toured with Britney and NSYNC, I just made a mental note. Like, I want to get them back on again to really dig into those memories more, because the stories they must have in the vault. So then another one I wanted to talk about, Hilary Duff on Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve. This is 2005 going into 2006. Another one when you just watch it back, like, holy, iconic. She is wearing a white dress and like a black page boy hat.
Bless her and her many outfits and her fashion eras. She also had that like huge belt that went around the lower hips. Like, this was peak, like the least flattering places is where we wore our belts back then.
Yeah, like it served no purpose. We started
wearing them. Yeah, it was either under your bra, like a baby doll, or it was all the way like the widest part of your body, and it did not look good unless you were Hilary Duff.
So she had her very cute outfit. She performed Wake Up and Come Clean. I will note she had a lot of dancers for this, and they were like going hard with the choreo. Like, they were dancing harder than I would expect for like a Hilary Duff song. This is the first time I'm going to say I'm not 100% sure she was actually singing live for these, but I'm not going to be a hater about that.
That's so funny, because my thought was like, oh my God, her mic actually sounds like it's on. I'm also gullible, so I don't know. It sounded different, though.
I thought she might have been maybe singing along to a backing track.
I definitely believe there was a backing track involved, but I feel like I could hear like little riffs and stuff that were normally there. And I was like, go Hilary. I loved it.
That's probably, I think it was the backing track with like a few Hilary riffs. I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, a little raise your voice.
Yeah. Wait, that's like Hilary and Haley like cut in and out. And someone else, I feel like I read there's like 3 people that like sang that
We talked about it. Yeah, there's 3.
Oh my God.
We talked about it. Yeah, it's a mix of Hilary, her sister Haley, and then like one other singer. But you can tell what is Hilary. Yeah. It sounds like the Hannah Montana transition noises.
The cuts. Yes. Oh my God. So good. But yeah, this was obviously like peak Hilary Duff era. She was everywhere. Lizzie McGuire was over and a Cinderella story had already come out, and she was definitely in the middle of that transition from Disney darling to pop star. She was only 18 years old during this performance.
I know.
Crazy.
She's so young. I remember seeing her in this special though and being like, oh my gosh, she looks so different. She got super thin and she looked like she had gotten like her teeth done or something. Like she just looked different. And part of that might just be her growing up, Rosebud, I don't know. But this was a tough year to be, this whole era was the body image things that were thrust upon us back then were so unrealistic and insane. And I hope that does not come back in 2026. But side note, as I was watching this performance, I read that this was Dick Clark's last broadcast. So he hosted annually from 1971 through 2004. I mean, that's pretty iconic. In December 2004, Dick Clark suffered a stroke. So Regis Philbin served as his guest host. And unfortunately, Dick Clark was experiencing some lingering speech issues from his stroke. So then Ryan Seacrest became co-host with him the following year. And he kind of continued to make like limited appearances as a co-host until his death, April 2012. But he was not the singular host until then. Ryan was definitely like phased in. I mean, what a last main show for him to be hosting with Hilary. She was one of the co-hosts, I believe, as like the West Coast like correspondent, because they would do like West Coast celebration and New York celebration. And it was cute to hear him intro her.
Oh, that's so nice. What a memory for her too. My goodness. Another one of our pop divas I wanted to talk about is from 2006 going into 2007. And that is Christina Aguilera performing Fighter and Candyman on Dick Clark's show. And this was when I would say she was like in her peak Back to Basics era. She had that platinum blonde curly hair, the red lips, the whole vintage pinup aesthetic. Just one of my favorite eras of her of all time.
In my mind, this is like her soul aesthetic. Like, I know. It just matches her so well.
I know we've had debates about certain divas having their mic on, maybe not. Well, of course, it's Christina. Her mic was on. When is her mic not on? When is she not belting it, literally sounding identical to the track? I had my mind reblown watching her perform these. And it was so fun watching Candyman. Like her and her dancers were like bopping around so much. I just like was thinking like how cold it must be doing performances like that. But they never stopped moving. So they were probably as warm as one could be during an event like this. And she also had this very cute, like black and white kind of like fuzzy furry type coat on. But Back to Basics had just come out in August 2006, and she reinvented herself for this era. It was just incredible to see her serving during this performance. I loved it. So the final one that I pulled for us to discuss today was just a little bit outside of our era, but like demands our attention. And this is from New Year's Eve 2010, 2011, when Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block performed together on Dick Clark New Year's Rockin' Eve during their NKOT BSB collaboration era. And this one was awesome. Wow. First of all, this was a really small stage, but they still found plenty of room to get all of their signature boy band choreo in. They opened with a mashup of Backstreet's Back and Hangin' Tough, and it was honestly pretty cool. Like, I don't really like to mash up Backstreet Boys songs. I just want the full Backstreet Boys song, but I enjoyed this mashup. And then I was struck by the fact that AJ was bald. Like, I did not remember him having a bald era. So I was like, who was that? But once I realized it was AJ, I also realized that I thought he definitely seemed like the Backstreet Boy lead in this performance. Like he was the one, in my opinion, bringing the best vocals. And then they went into, I'm only really talking about the Backstreet Boys here, so I'm sorry for our New Kids on the Block girlies, because New Kids on the Block went into a solo song, and then Backstreet Boys went into I'll Never Break Your Heart. And I was a little surprised that this was what they chose for New Year's Eve. Obviously, they sounded really good. The blend was blending, but I just would have picked something maybe a little more.
Right. Like As Long As You Love Me or something.
Right. Like if they want to do like one of their like OG ballads or something, like I get that. But it just was an interesting choice. I would love to know what went into these. I just have so many questions.
They like cut to all the couples like kissing.
Maybe that's why. But still, they could have done.
Cam moment.
There's just still other ones they could have done. So, more questions than answers, but I thought it was really interesting. They basically each did one song of their own, like without the other group. And then they came back together, both groups, for You Got the Right Stuff, with Backstreet Boys basically serving as like the background dancers for that. And then they went into their larger than life mashup version where it's like, all you people, can't you see, NKOTBSB. But I gotta say, I'm feeling a little smug, a little cocky that they finished with Larger Than Life. You know, in my opinion, that's like one of the best boy band songs ever. And so I just kind of was nodding my head like, yep, that's what
I know that's right.
Yep. And so the NKOTBSB era was just a really interesting time. And I think it was really cool, even though I don't want boy bands to merge because I'll take it. What am I talking about? I'll take a boy band merge. I'd rather have them on their own, but like it was ahead of its time. It's nothing like this had ever happened before. These like two biggest boy bands of all time basically coming together. Like what a moment to be reckoned with, this era in general. And another one of these, this was a performance I didn't remember seeing IRL. So it was fun for me to watch for the first time.
I feel like I remember watching this live and just being so excited that Backstreet Boys were back, like on a big stage, because there had been a lull in like widespread public interest. I feel like this was kind of like the downtime. One of the valleys, I was so annoyed that New Kids kept interrupting them. I was like, I only want Backstreet Boys. So sorry to all the blockheads, but that is how I felt that New Year's Eve. It is worth noting that Howie did not give a put your fingers in the air during I Want It That Way. But I was also like looking for Kevin the entire time. Then I was like, oh yeah, he's not there. This was their last New Year's Eve before Kevin rejoined in July of 2011. But because like Jordan Knight is tall and has the dark features. So I was like looking for Kevin in the crowd and only finding New Kids on the blockers.
Wait, why did I not even notice Kevin wasn't in it until I saw you?
Because there's so many men on stage. There's just so many men there. I know.
Bad.
But I wonder, like, did Kevin watch them and like send them a text? Like,
he must have.
I wonder what that like off time was like so much. I wish I could read their text chains. I also noted that Brian's voice is clearly struggling a little bit during this performance too. And it's just crazy that this was 16 years ago. Like that he's been dealing with those issues. It's wild. He sounded good.
Yes.
But you could definitely hear that something was going on. We didn't learn about his vocal issues. I didn't learn about his vocal issues until the Show 'Em What You're Made Of documentary, which did not come out until 2015. So this was years before.
Yeah.
So you can hear the strain in his voice, but you could write it off like, oh, it's cold.
Yeah.
Like
it's a cold.
It's like 0 degrees. They're performing outside. They're tired. Like who knows? But I never would have guessed that it was like vocal tension dysphonia, this horrible issue. It's kind of crazy.
That is crazy. Those were the performances I flagged that I had a really fun time watching. I know you kind of wanted to flag a moment in pop culture history. Can we talk about this before we wrap?
Okay, so this was not a performance, but it also kind of was a performance. So we have to talk about Taylor Swift and Harry Styles kissing at midnight after she performed live in Times Square as part of Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve in 2013. I mean, this was wild that we got confirmation that the two biggest pop stars at the time were together. Like Harry Styles of One Direction, Taylor Swift, like that's what fairy tales are made of. So according to people.com, yes, I pulled up an old article from New Year's Day 2013. This is what people.com reported around this momentous moment. Quote, the new couple smooched at midnight in New York's Times Square, a romantic moment now being shared by millions thanks to a bystander's fuzzy photo sweeping the internet. It's worth noting, internet is capitalized. Just before Christmas, Swift, 23, spent a ski vacation with the 18-year-old One Direction singer, along with pals Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez. What a time. I also didn't realize they had such a big age gap. 5 years when you're 18 is kind of a lot. This must be like a Mandela effect or something, because I thought that it was like broadcast, but to hear that it was a fan who took a fuzzy photo on their iPhone. Again, this is 2013, so this is like just when stuff is starting to happen like that.
Yeah.
Where citizens are becoming paparazzi. I mean, it spurred so many headlines. And I am grateful to Harry Styles because he inspired the best, in my humble opinion, vault tracks in Taylor Swift's career. The 1989 vault tracks hit so freaking hard. Now that we don't talk, I would listen to that on repeat. If I was in the Upside Down and Vecna Stole My Mind, that would be the song that Mike would have to play to like get me back to my body.
Imagine if it had another minute to it.
There's no bridge. Like,
I know.
Why is it so short? It's her shortest song and it's Criminal.
Is it 2 minutes?
It's like a voice note. It's a voice note. And I want her to go back into the studio and fix it up. I want Max to get his little paws on it and do something with it. My dream would be for Max Martin to take the albums that she made with, what's his face?
Jack
Antonoff. Oh my God. It's New Year's Day. I had some champagne last night. Okay, everyone chill. That was not a diss to Jack Antonoff.
No.
My dream is for Max Martin to take all of her Jack Antonoff albums and remix them in his Max Martin way.
Max Martinized folklore.
Who knows? Who knows what he would do? Thinking more of like 1989. Like the vault tracks. That sounds like Jack Antonoff. That doesn't sound like Max Martin.
I mean, the more Max Martin is involved with Taylor Swift, the better. Did you finish her documentary?
Imagine I did. What did you think?
Well, I just liked the little footage we got, like with her like celebrating Christmas with Max Martin and stuff. Like I was expecting something maybe different from the documentary. I enjoyed it nonetheless, but I loved getting kind of the inside look at her time in Sweden.
I loved when they were drinking the mulled wine.
Yes.
And he's like, you put raisins and almonds in it. It was cool to hear her talk about how Max and Shellback were more mentors to her, and now she sees them as more like peers, which was very cool. And I just like seeing the studio. Like, I forget that it's just 3 people who are really creative, just like kind of shooting the shit until like lightning strikes.
He's like throwing a pillow on the ground to like make a certain sound, and like they're like doing little like ding ding dings and like trying to like make these like weird noises. But yeah, I think we speculated a lot in one of our episodes, like maybe Taylor Swift, Max Martin songs, that episode about like maybe what their relationship was like as of late, because he wasn't helping with any of the vault tracks. They hadn't collaborated for so long. And we were like, maybe there's a riff in this relationship. And so for me, I was really happy to see that there wasn't.
Oh, yeah. I thought the best part of her documentary was seeing that process and watching her get ready for the acoustic set where she would decide which songs she wanted to mash up and practicing them. That was my favorite part because that's what I want to see. I want to see her creative process, and I appreciated that she gave time to all the dancers and the crew behind the scenes. I thought that was also very interesting and kind of sharing the spotlight. But I love Beyonce's Renaissance documentary so much because we see her at 2 a.m. Like, that light looks weird. Change it. Like, this stage is weird. Like, fix that. Like, I love seeing that side. One of the scenes that stood out to me most was when Taylor did not like the new Reputation bodysuit, the gold one, because like the boob cups were too low or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, I hate this. Like, I kind of wanted to see more of that, just like realistic, like her being like, I'm the boss and I'm going to make a tough call here. It was very polished and great. And of course, everyone's going to say how much they love her and stuff. But I loved those little real moments and glimpses.
Well, those were the best parts for sure. And I completely agree with you. But I am sorry that I took us on a tangent a little bit here down Taylor Swift land. But New Year's Day, here we are. I know. I mean, how many hours do we have, honestly?
Not enough. But thank you guys so much for hanging with us. We hope that your 2026 is happy, healthy, filled with incredible adventures. And if you're going to Vegas to see Backstreet Boys over the next couple months, let us know. We want to hear from you. Send us your pictures. We love when you guys show us like your outfits. Send us all the things. DM us and make sure to check out our Patreon. And just a reminder of our new posting schedule. Our next episode will not come out next week, but the following week. So we'll do the first and third weeks of every month. So catch us on Patreon if you need your When They Popped fix, because we have some really fun stuff coming up this year. Thank you guys so much for your support. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's.
Bye.
Bye.